We're going to talk a little bit about the power of forgiveness. When the Lord had submersed me in a few things, and then he would say, Marion, the only way to pray your way out of this is to pray forgiveness. Or he would say, Marion, the only way to get out of this is to pray this way. Because he had showed me all the different ways that you can be locked into a prison of your mind, your body, or your spirit. All according to the word, all according to your disobedience to the word. When they talk to you about to the letter of the word, like I use the word as it's a way that seems right unto man, but the end of there is wrong. I did not want to pronounce a death sentence on anybody. So I did not want to use the word death. And to actually think that God would be so angry with me and mad at me that I did not quote the Bible exactly the way somebody else. If I stood there and I just changed the words just a little bit and said, you might think it's right, but it's wrong. Same thing, no difference. But I'm taking the Bible onto myself and I'm making, you could do a lot of things. But when you're determined to pick on somebody, you've got a clear shot of hatred in your heart. Because when you have no pity or understanding for what people truly go through, many people resonate with me for one reason and one reason only. Because they see the love of God in my life and in my heart and mind. That's what he wants us all to have. Because all the knowledge that you have is going to pass away. Everything that you think you know and understand is going to pass away. Tongues will pass away. Everything is going to pass away except for one thing, and that's love. And love covers a multitude of sin. So if I give you these videos in love, you're not my judge. You see, that's what I'm trying to say is Satan cannot look into your heart. If they use psychology and say, well, this means this, so you know he or she is doing that, that's a lie. This is a sign by Satan. This is a sign, and it's calling somebody to be what that sign says they are. That's a crazy type of witchcraft. That's why I don't use psychology. That's why I don't even believe in Christian psychology. Because a doctor has a license to practice. You know why? Because he's not God and he can't tell you exactly what's wrong. He could only go by the symptoms and the signs. So when you show signs of doing something, somebody comes along and they judge you and they condemn you, with the judgment you make, it's going to be measured back to you. Because he said, don't judge according to what you see or what you think you see. Not according to the eyes, but judge righteous judgment. That means you go before God and let God tell you. But he's not going to tell you somebody else's business. Do you realize he is not going to come to you and tell you someone else's business? You're minding somebody else's business. It's not your right. You need to keep your eyes on your own business so that you may grow up straight. Now, you can say till doomsday, I have come across, praise God, I came across several young men this past week. And I've been so blessed to know such tremendous young men for God. Woo! Tremendous, who see me as a grandma. That is so, wow, that is wonderful. And they trust me. You know why? Because they resonate with me. One of them is a genius. It was amazing to me that this young man had so much knowledge of God. So much wisdom. A lot of people can be so intelligent and still be stupid. be so intelligent they could study and study and study and study and still have nothing. Am I talking about certain people? No, I'm talking about all people. I'm talking about what they do, what they think, what they feel, all of it. Because am I judging a certain person? Am I saying, well, I know, I am saying the signs say that that person is filled with hatred, because you can't rip apart someone who has suffered greatly. And to be so ignorant that you cannot see that the only way that could have been overcome, the only way step by step I could have come out of my own mind and my own heart, and everything that happened to me was supernaturally by God doing it. I couldn't do it myself, and I never studied psychology. But I'll tell you, I can sit down with the best psychiatrists, and you'll find out that I don't have that problem. Not unless they sit and twist it and judge like some of these others do. I've talked to mental institution heads of them that can't get over the fact. At the time when my husband and I were not seeing eye to eye, they just marveled that we got along so well. How do two people who are totally opposite faiths, beliefs, everything, get along? When the love of God is on the scene, you will. You can. Because you'll always look at that other person as the person that Jesus Christ died for. That is what that's all about. If you can't look at that other person like that, you are selfish. You are after your own wants and your own so-called needs. That other person is more important than you will ever be. Because if you cannot look at him as the one that Jesus Christ died for, something is wrong with you. Now, I've said it before, I am giving no such thing, and a husband of contention, we have no such custom. I am not giving permission to beat on your wife. I know of a man that beat his wife for the last time and killed himself by accident. Because God knew that the next time he beat her, that he was going to kill her. So instead of him letting him kill her, he died. He took an overdose of sleeping pills. He was so frustrated, so tired from beating on her and ripping her nose like this wide open. Still has a scar. She's a beautiful woman. You can hardly see the scar, but she's got it. She's still a beautiful woman. He didn't destroy that a bit. Because God made her. He created her. So, I've gone through a little bit of the background, a tiny bit. It's just a smidgen of it, of the things that I went through in that background. Because I wanted to cover and reach people who have the same kind of problems. Have you ever felt, and we're going to talk a little bit here about curses, have you ever felt like God had given you everything and you still have nothing? Have you ever felt in finances that you had everything you should have, but you still had nothing? That's a curse. Go dig it out. Go find out how and who and what cursed you. I would go back into the generations and figure it out. Ask God. God to show you what in the Word, where it's at, so that you could be free of that. Because that is a true curse. You can tell curses by what they are doing. You could see the curses. You know, when I first got saved, I saw so many curses in that Bible. When I was reading them, I saw it working in my life here. And then I'm reading this, it's working here. It's doing this, it's doing that. They were curses from God over the generations. God was cursing them. And do you think you could lay hands on somebody and you could rebuke a curse that comes from God? No way. No way. Who do you think you are? God? You've got to go to God the Father and ask him to break the curse. And do you know that he will not break it unless you forgive everybody involved? He'll let that curse sit there forever if he has to, because he will not change it a bit. So you can lay hands on people all you want. And you say, I break this curse all you want, but it'll keep coming back and coming back, because what keeps on coming back is the things that you missed, that you don't even understand. And I'm not giving that to you to understand here, because that's not what I'm supposed to do right now. Maybe in the future, or maybe I have in the past, I don't know. I don't remember every one of my videos. I don't have to. I only know that when I pick this up to talk, God gives me the wisdom and understanding to do it. That's all I know. I just like when I used to hold my microphone for my radio show. I never knew what I was going to say until I said it. And the wonderful thing about it is I just met, I think it's a 22-year-old genius who acts just like I do. He never knows what he's going to do until he does it. And then I met another one that I call Sir Galahad. He knows who I'm talking about. He doesn't think about what he's going to do before he does it, but he does things that are just chivalrous. And it's unheard of today, because what man really protects a woman the way they're supposed to? And it's amazing. It is truly amazing what God has done with young men today. I believe there's going to be young men that are going to begin to have a fellowship, and these young men are brand new Christians. Some got saved a few months ago, some got saved 2 years ago, but these are all young Christians that are not bogged down with false doctrine, not bogged down with having to go to church and serve under a pastor and do this and do that. No, they're serving under Jesus Christ. They're serving under the Lord Jesus Christ. You're not their Lord. Oh, well, if you don't do it this way, you know what? If God finds them faithful, you don't have any right to them. You have no right to judge them. You have no right to judge any man. If God finds a young man faithful, I saw a young man that I marveled at. I really did. When I looked him up, I had to tell him I thought he was special. I truly had to, because there was something about him that God was speaking to me about. He is nothing like me. He doesn't, but there are parts of that Bible that he really believes in. And it's a tremendous belief. It's not just a little part. When he took it to his heart, he took it to his heart. He sees things. And I was amazed. I mean, I didn't mind him scrolling through my videos. I didn't mind him scrolling and fact-checking because I knew he was honest. I knew that he was pure and clean in that area, and that there was no way he was going to make up anything to destroy me. I knew that. You could see it instantly. As soon as I laid eyes on him, I knew this was a very special, rare man of God. And like I said, he's nothing like me. But I was honored to see him and meet him. And what I mean by meeting him is by being able to send him a feedback on his channel, to let him know that he was appreciated. Even though he wouldn't do things the way I would do it. Yeah, but he's not supposed to be like me. That's the thing you need to understand. Nobody is supposed to be like you. I don't expect anybody to be like me. No matter who you are, you can't. Because you must be the best you could be between you and God. And if you look at your fingerprints, they are different than anybody else. And he's made you so special. He is the only one that can make you feel special. That's what makes your relationship with Jesus Christ so important. When the disciples walked on the earth with him, he had the power to sit and spend time with each and every one of them. And I will tell you what I know to be true. Each one of them felt special. Each one of them, he had a relationship with them that they felt so special. And to take a woman and chain her to the kitchen and don't even think about Mary and Martha, and how one of them asked Jesus, tell her to come and help me in the kitchen. And Jesus said, no, she chose a good work. She chose to sit at my feet and listen to me. That proves right there that he didn't call a woman to be chained to that kitchen. He didn't call a woman to be, and I really believe that Paul the Apostle was rebuking women that had just come out of prostitution, were jangling and everything else and talking, and he was settling them down. But I believe that people, men, took that and used it as sexism, used it to say a woman can never. Because I'm sure he was rebuking him and saying, what, you're trying to come in here and teach? Go home and learn from your husband. Well, I'm not a whore, and I'm not an ex-whore, that I need somebody to tell me that. And neither is a lot of God's maidens. They're not ex-prostitutes that are just learning. They've been walking holy for a long time, under submission for a long time. I've been submitting to one man for 59 years. And you're going to come and tell me what submission is? You're going to come and teach me because I didn't submit under you what submission is? You don't even know, because you don't submit to your own wife. No, you don't, because you don't need to. You're a king. You don't need to submit to her. You don't need to care how she thinks and feels when you force her into submission to things she doesn't want, things she doesn't believe in, things she doesn't like. A woman knows when she's called strictly in the kitchen or when she's called to preach and teach. She knows it. She may not always tell you, but she knows it. Because she feels that power. She feels what God's saying to her. And I just laugh when God tells me, Marian, I called you because they're so positive. I would never call a woman. He says, I did this. Oh, I used to beg him, please, 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 dear God, don't let me write this book. Please, please, I don't want any parts of it. I'd beg him, please, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And the power and glory of God would come and say, how? How could you doubt this is me? And then it would just flow. And he would do that with me over and over, where the terrorizing power of God would come and say, Marian, I called you to write this book. It's needed. And to think that I'm trying to sell my book, I don't get it. I really don't get it. When I tell you to go to that book, believe you me, it's not that I want to sell it. I don't have the energy, the strength, or the time to take that book and get it to you, and I don't have the money. The only way you can get it is to buy it. Oh, there are times where it took, a long time to transfer that book out and go into, send it to somebody by Gmail. So I can't do it, because I would have to do it for thousands of people. I can't do it. It's impossible. I've had people contact me and told me that book changed their whole life. That book, they could not believe it set them free of so many things. So many things they didn't understand that they had the answers to. Did I do that? No. I've told you over and over, no. How could I tell you that I begged him for me not to write it at the same time I had to write it, and I'm claiming to be everything? That's crazy. I'm not crazy. Jesus and I took every thought captive. Every thought captive. We work daily on every thought captive. And when you say, oh, She never endured millions of demons. Of course I did. I could never overcome mental and emotional illnesses and all the other stuff that goes with it unless I overcome them. And Jesus Christ in me overcome them. Believe it if you want to or not, but I'm telling you, if there is a tiny bit of hatred in your mind or heart against any political party, any person, particular person, that's not of God. Hate what they do, but not those people. Yes, they're wrong. Some of them, I'm telling you, are true antichrists. They've walked and talked with God and then turned on him. They're a Judas spirit, and like Paul the Apostle said, I don't say you should pray for it. Because they went directly into Satan after knowing God. I don't know how God would ever work with you with that. It's not my business nor my job to tell you. My job is to tell you the truth. And it's the truth that'll set you free. But to hate them, I'm telling you, I don't like anything some of them do. I'm not going to mention them now, but there's some really bad people doing some really bad stuff. But to hate them, to want to desire to see them burn in hell forever, to see them die, to see them, no, I want to see them moved. I want to see them stop. I want to see the children that they are ripping apart. I want to see that stopped. The atrocities of pedophilia. I want to see that stopped, definitely. So if that takes moving their life, that's between them and God, not me. It's like that one woman that almost killed me years ago when I had a hole in my belly this big. Believe me, it was this big and it was that deep. And she left a sponge in me, and then she went and told the doctors not to give me any pain medication, that I was mixing drugs when I wasn't. I could have hated her guts. I couldn't do it. It wasn't in me. When they came and the head of the care unit where they sent her, they put their head down like this and folded their hands, and they couldn't even look me in the eye. And they said, if you want another home care people, we'll send you another one. We'll get in touch with them for you. I said, no, why would I want another one? Every last one of you on that telephone and anything you did with me were so good to me. How in the world and why would I punish you for what one did? Nope, I forgive her. And she said to me, she says, I knew you were going to do this. I says, to prove to you I am not going to sue you, send me a good one. And she sent me a caseworker that in weeks I was healed. After 4 weeks of the worst thing you can imagine and go through, 4 weeks I was completely healed. Because I had I'm talking about 4 months. I made a mistake. 4 months turned into 4 weeks. And she says, we're going to send you something. She says, but we're going to deal with her. I says, that's between you and God. What you do with her is between you and God. It's not on me anymore. Because I forgive her. I hold nothing against her. To this day, I don't. My heart just isn't in it. But that's where we all have to go. That's the way we all have to think. So while I was dying there, did I hate her? No. Now she was lying on me, and I knew it. And at them, I'm dying. They proved. They said they did not expect me to live through that. They were shocked that I lived through it. It was agony. Did I hate her? No. Did I get angry with her? No. Did I punish her? No. It's not my place. It's not how when he cleaned this up, he took every thought captive. So to say, oh, she never went through it. Go ahead. But you need the same thing. You need to allow God, because you don't have the mess I had for a mind. You don't have the mess I had for a heart. You have a couple little things to correct, and you could get out of it easily. And just think how wonderful it would be for you to have a real relationship with God and have knowledge with it, which is happening to some of the young men now. God's building up his army. He's getting them ready. And some of you that for years have played games and would not listen to him, years of doing what you've been doing the same old way, as though it's church as usual, playing church, not even seeing that COVID stopped you from being able to go to church so that you could spend time to get to know Jesus Christ. Did you use it? No. Did you use it for enough time to get close to him? I told you, every soul falls in love with Jesus Christ. That first love, the moment you find out you have a Savior that created the whole world that loves you, you fall in love with him. You can't help it. Well, then you went on to work in this church, and you went on to listen to this pastor, and you went on to listen to this guy, and you went on to listen to that guy, and you allowed it to all corrupt you into the way of thinking of doctrines. And so the doctrines literally keep the church apart. Church history literally keeps you away from God. Oh, but you got to study church history before you become anything in the... Well, you know what? God decided to bypass all that. And he decides who is going to be able to preach and teach by giving them the grace and the power to do it without you.